The system is based upon reflection. So what we encourage leadership, administrators of the IP is to just reflect before planning ahead for the following year. So by looking at the system, this gives you a brief overview. So the idea of looking here, the state of the objectives, looking at monitoring, looking at standards, evidence being uploaded, and whether interim reviews take place. Because the idea is from here, you'll be able to see whether the processes and the systems are being followed. So we know by looking at some of the previous tutorials, we're able to look at my reports here and get an overview of the outcomes and collate all the information. But this realistically is the dashboard. We just need to check that everything's in place. So the idea of making sure, for example, that the objectives are being set. Have they been reviewed? So for example, here, we're setting it for the 31st of the 8th. So the end of the summer holidays or the summer break. So we start looking at it and thinking, well, what should have actually taken place? What is the expectation of objectives? Are the objectives only going to be reviewed at the end of an appraisal cycle? Or should it be that the line managers during the year are updating these accordingly? What amount of monitoring should be taking place? So again, we just have a look and see different amounts of monitoring that's taken place. The standards, is there an expectation for the line manager to make a rating on the standards, plus the member of staff to rate their standards? What is the expectation about evidence? Should it be that the members of staff are uploading evidence throughout the year? Is it part of their self-reflective journey that they should be engaging in the system? Or is it that the only time they're expected to upload evidence is at the end of the appraisal cycle? Questions that are asked are how much evidence needs to be uploaded? So you could end up with a member of staff with 100 and some odd, but is it all relevant? So the idea of choosing evidence that's appropriate and knowing that one piece of evidence can be linked to multiple things. Interim reviews, those professional discussions. Is there an expectation that it follows an appraisal process where maybe possibly there's an interim review, so everyone should end up with one? Or is it the culture of the organisation that you're going to use interim reviews and there's going to be a professional catch-up? Therefore, how many of those are taking place? And then you finally get an idea here of once that review has been completed, it gets crossed off. So before planning your next year's cycle and using School IP, make sure you build in reflection. You look at all the functionality and it helps you plan and set your expectations for the following year. So thank you very much for listening.